So I recently came across a video that was on BBC News in Britain. It's about a gorilla that they're using in the wild that's attached to it, has a camera attached into its eye, so they can get closer to the animals and watch them in the habitat without humans being there, because anytime humans are there, they never behave the same. So they've made this gorilla that can go out into the wild and video, and the animals behave exactly like they would. So the idea is that our anomalies doing this to us, watching down on us, and being able to make an object so they can come closer to us and watch us without us being alarmed or disturbed, which I think is a very cool idea. So that's, you know, it's not based on machines as we know it now that humans are making. They could be thousands, millions of years ahead of us. So a mechanical object could be something totally different than it is to us, with nuts and bolts. So we're going to go on to the biological aspect of the phenomena as well now.
We're here on the Sun Planet Earth 2. There's a brand new series called Spy in the Wild on BBC One. We have one of the spies here. This is Urzi, who, as you can see, is an animatronic.
Urzi is absolutely fantastic. So the idea is that Urzi is placed in the wild with real orangutans, and they've mimicked the movements of a real orangutan. You see, it's quite extraordinary. And they get this fantastic footage because inside Urzi's eye, I don't know how close you can see in, one of his eyes has a camera in there, so he can see and record what's happening in and around him. So it gives it a unique insight into wildlife. And yeah, you can see
and the way it's mimicking the actions of the orangutan with its mouth.
This is footage from last year that I recorded in my back garden of a gold object that was very luminous, seemed to be giving off some type of glow around it. It was like a reddish energy colour, wearing off the sun's reflection, and the object was twisting and turning all different ways, which was very unusual. Thought to see what I'm trying to talk about with the mimicry of these objects, because your first initial thought would be it's a balloon, but you need to look at the finer details of these objects.
Unknown until it was spotted, first by fishermen off the coast of Indonesia in the 1990s. It looked like an octopus, but it could morph its shape in an instant to appear as seemingly any animal around it. At first, no one had any idea what it was.
The first time I saw it, I just was blown away. You couldn't get a more spectacular animal. It really is the pinnacle of wizardry.
Biologist Mark Norman was the first scientist to study this seemingly shapeless creature. He named it the mimic octopus.
The mimic octopus makes itself look like a living, moving animal. So it pulls all its arms around behind its body and swims along like a poisonous flatfish called a banded sole. In other cases, if it's getting attacked, it puts 6 arms down a hole and raises the other 2 arms to look like a poisonous sea snake that has bands along its body. If that's not enough, it'll swim along looking like a poisonous lionfish with these banded arms looking like the banded spines that come off these very deadly fish.
So far, 15 separate species are known to be in the mimic octopus act, and Norman is not always sure exactly what the mimic is doing. He observed this mimic scuttling along the sea bottom, looking something like a furry turkey with human legs.
Sometimes it's hard when you watch a mimic octopus doing what it does to interpret what's going on. It's a bit like looking at ink spots in a psychiatrist's office going, I don't know what that is. It could be a piano, it could be a fridge. So you get 3 or 4 divers together and you'll argue all night trying to work out what we think it was mimicking.
Where did nature's greatest actor...
This next object I actually recorded on my way to a family member's house. Stepped outside the car and looked up and seen this object above my head. It didn't seem to be tumbling or anything. And when I zoomed in, what does it look like to you? That's right, it looks like Spider-Man, but what's Spider-Man missing? Can anyone see any details that Spider-Man's missing? Okay, and if you haven't noticed, Spider-Man is actually missing the insignia on his chest, his head, his webbing patterns on his body, and if you look carefully, look at his feet and hands. His feet are not the same as the hands on the picture. This picture on the right hand corner was actually the actual balloon you can get off eBay. Now, that doesn't look nothing really alike, does it? But you can see a similarity between the balloon version and this version, and this is what these objects are doing. Whatever's being released into the atmosphere, they must be replicating and using against us as some form of mimicry to go to not be seen by anyone. And this other object again was in my back garden in October 2015, and it seemed to be more of like a liquid. It was so strange. It seemed to be morphing and changing shape and twisting. I mean, look at it. You need to look at this really carefully, guys, and you can see what I'm talking about here with the similarities between mechanical and biological objects. So it's up to you to make your own assessments up on this, and I hope you enjoyed today's video, and make sure you give a thumbs up and subscribe if you enjoyed. Thanks.